So hi friends, Boston Coalition for Autism, like I promised, we're back, part 2 of addiction and autism. And right now we are at the Cushing General Hospital Park. So this used to be a hospital, a veterans hospital. I had the opportunity to visit when it was still active. Some patients, it was not a pleasant situation. But now it becomes a memorial, let's say. And then a lot of people come. There's a mile around for running, for biking, and just for walking too. So, but anyway, this is part 2 of addictions in autism. So, and then we have to reach to the point where the question is why some autistic individuals become more vulnerable. So there is not a single cause. Usually it's a combination of factors, like many factors involved in autism. So common contributing factors are chronic stress and masking, which is a very common factor in adults. And we can say that most of the people with addiction, and I hope that's true, is more adults than other than younger ages. So that's a data that we can look for it. But I hope that there is more adults where they can make their own decisions. Because a lot of things are involved with trauma, bullying, so and the accumulation of factors. So many autistic people experience rejection and they don't know what to do with it. The bullying, for many years reaches to a point where it's not enough. We need to use a substance to deal with it. Social humiliation. A lot of neurotypical people, it's very easy for them to humiliate something that they don't understand, neurodiversity. So, workplace trauma. So, you see, those are age related, like more people in a working age. And the trauma can have different phases: the boss, the environment, the type of work, the autistic inertia, all things that are very related to trauma. Boston Coalition for Autism has a couple of programs for people who wants to deal with trauma. Well, no, autism at work. Not only for the autistic people, also for the companies and organizations, institutions. They want to know what is the working with autistic people or autistic people work. Please go to our webpage, Boston Coalition for Autism.org. So continue with family misunderstanding. A lot of people in adult life, they have bad relationships with the families, and all because misunderstood about autism too. And invalidation after diagnosis is like we talk about the Cassandra syndrome, which is we're gonna have a video on that. Is when a person in autism is saying, I'm autistic and that because I'm autistic, this and that, and other people who ignore the spectrum or the futures of on autistic people, they don't believe them. So as you can see, many people comes to work. We try to provide privacy for these people. All right. So the invalidation after diagnosis can increase or can take people into the excessive use of a substance. So sensory regulation is also when they are under the influence of a different substance, they don't have all those regulation issues, or they don't have the sensitivity, it changes. So they have to deal with that. Social belonging. Social belonging is why some people need to use the substances, because they need to feel accepted, and because there's social rejection or social lack of abilities to develop as let's say typical social relationship. So that's why it's another. People try to fit into groups, they don't fit and they feel rejected. And the rejection dysphoria syndrome is also a comorbidity into the autism, and reduces social fear. Some people, they need to use a substance to be involved in activities, so the fear of socialization gets minimized. Especially alcohol is one of the innovators of substance use. So, and also they try to imitate social norms, and that happens when they are under influence too. And the emotional identification difficulties too. So they don't know what they're feeling. They prefer to feel drunk than to have no answer for their feelings. Alexithymia gets involved in this too. So let's see if we can let these people go. So they, uh, yeah. So people with alexithymia may struggle identifying emotion. So making emotional copy is more difficult, and that's another thing. And the executive function challenges, because these are the marks: a quarter of a mile, 400 meters. So it's a mile, 1,600 meters around this. Um, the executive function issues or challenges as impulsivity, ADHD overlap, and difficulty with self-regulation may increase the risk too. So we're going to talk about a little bit and briefly how we can help, because a neurodiversity informed approach is essential for this. So we have to stop asking what's wrong with you. We can ask what happened to you, what overwhelms you, what support is missing, or what function is the addiction is serving. So we see why they have to become addictive on a specific thing. That's when we said, okay, then we can help it. So recognize autism early. Let's go back to, let's turn to the return. So recognize the autism early, and especially in hidden populations like females, immigrants, bilingual individuals, gifted individuals, and adults with burnout, people diagnosed only with anxiety and depression. So instead of the full diagnosis of autism, people repeatedly failing traditional therapy. Some people, they don't feel the therapy is working, so they move to another type of therapy, and that's a really common factor to stop therapies. Or people who been asking the wrong question for the wrong therapist. So that's also another factor. So late diagnosis can lead to the years of self-medication. So they don't know what's going on. They don't know they are autistic, but the substance is substituting the piece they needed. So they adopt addiction as a treatment for autism. So they use substance to treat their autism. So traditional addiction treatment may fail autistic individuals if if the autistic individuals rely on when they are forced eye contact, group social pressure, and abstract emotional language. Sometimes confrontation does too. In the previous video, we saw the elementary school. This is the back, the playground, the back of the building. And also another factor for the treatment, lack or the adaptation for the treatment is in the unpredictable environments. So to make it predictable, they prefer to be under the influence of the substance. So, but so many helpful adaptations that we can do is a sensory-friendly environment. Direct communication, always. Visual support. Also individualized pacing. We let them fit their own pace. That reduces a lot of things, especially at work. So routines and predictability is one of the main helpers in any situation, not only in addiction, but any situation for autistic people. Um, and so we have some professionals, they need to be more informed on autism so they can provide the right therapy. Like I will say, the wrong question for the therapy makes a person to find another therapist. So, and the trauma-informed approaches too. Trauma-informed sounds like a very vague, but we need to work on that too. So, and then we have to build regulation skill instead of pure compliance. So if we try to promote these abilities with support, we can include the nervous system regulation. Remember, one of the flags we use a lot in Boston Coalition for Autism is neuroception. So that's the nervous system regulation. Sensory accommodations, emotional literacy. So they have to know what they feel and why they feel in that way. So that goes back to alexithymia. Executive functioning support to schedules, timers, and different supports that exist. If you want to know more about this, you can consult us on the webpage, and we'll be more than happy to produce information about this. So, healthy routines with the schedule and healthy activities. Also, not only just healthy food or healthy actions. The whole routine has to be healthy, and then to be more understandable. So, sleep support. If one of the things they use the substances to sleep, we can provide a different support, like a special space. And then we can teach them also self-advocacy, so they can ask for what they need. The goal is not simply stopping the behavior, but we need to improve the quality of life. And that's another thing. So when we address also other factors like autism burnout, it is a huge step, because the burnout frequently takes people to fall into the addiction. Autism burnout is a major overlooked factor, and burnout may include loss of functioning, emotional collapse, increase of shutdowns. So these 3 points are very common. Some people call them tantrums. That's wrong. They have their own name and the autistic spectrum. Depression and withdrawal, very common on autistic people. So in those two, all these factors increase the substance use. So, and then one of the things we can do to reduce demands and increase accommodations, they can be protective. So create community and belonging, because isolation is dangerous. And the protective factors include autistic peer support, safe friendships, and we are working towards the heart, one of the hearts of Framingham. Identity acceptance. If we educate the people on the spectrum and the people around them, the identity acceptance is going to be a success. We can mentor these people in the spectrum with addiction too. So mentorship is another good help for them. Community organizations like Boston Coalition for Autism. And family education also is another thing too. And feeling understood can reduce the need for unhealthy coping mechanism. So they feel they have a security, and that reduces the uses of substance. So this is the chapel, and let me show you something really funny. You see this box? This is the mobile library. You need a book, this little free library. So it's made it to reproduce the chapel. So this is one of the original buildings that still belonged to when it was a Christian hospital. Um, well, important perspective for the Boston Coalition for Autism and for everybody else is for organizations like us, addiction should not be approached only as a behavioral problem, because that's the intersection of neuroscience, trauma, sensory processing, psychology, and social exclusion. So this is how Boston Coalition for Autism sees any behavior. We have to filter that so we don't use the old model that has been proved that is not working as much as needed. So, and then with we're gonna stop this second part of the video on addictions and autism with this beautiful heart. To me, out of 32 is the number one, and the artist is really great. He's a Native American, and that's why you see all this. So thank you for staying with Boston Coalition for Autism and this Addictions and Autism Part 2 from the Cushing Park. Thank you and see you in the next video.